across our one global village. This is news today coming to you live from Monrovia, Liberia. My name is Totiama Sherman. The headlines. Painesville City Corporation and partners launched Liberia's first modern learning center in Painesville. Students of Monrovia consolidated the school system protest over government's inability to pay their teachers for several months. Those plus more package for you this evening. Keep watching, we'll be right back. Those were the headlines. Now the news in detail. Vice President Joe Howard Taylor says library is a critical component of educational process of Liberia. According to her, research is now a challenge among the Liberian students due to the unavailability of libraries almost across all cities and communities in Liberia. Speaking at a groundbreaking ceremony of a new learning center in Painesville, VP Taylor hoped that upon completion of the library project, it will serve as a center of wisdom and understanding.
It is said that any nation that does not take advantage of both of these methods, bringing to bear all the vision, all the energy, all the innovation of both males and females, leaves something critical behind. And that is why we keep fighting for gender equality across the governance spectrums of our country. If you look at the number of cities across Liberia, we take Monrovia out of it because again that's the capital city. Very few of the city mayors are doing anything. Most of them sit and wait for a government to come and clean up the city, or pick up the garbage, or make some important inputs. Issues of education can never be overlooked. Keep Liberia is another organization run by a female that is struggling to build reading rooms across Liberia as they struggle. She's ensuring that each of the counties has a small reading room. But I believe libraries are a critical part of the educational process. We don't have books in our schools. I'm not sure what teachers are teaching. But the fact is, if a child wants to learn research and find out what information she needs, she or he needs, where do they go? The telephones have become information portals. But I know that when a child learns, it is by turning the pages and reading and writing books and researching. And so libraries are critical.
On behalf of the City Council, the City Mayor, and the Office of the City of Painesville, to break ground for this library that will be a center for wisdom and understanding. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
The new center, when fully constructed, will develop students' vocabulary skills as well as enhance their comprehensive and individual developments, said Painesville City Mayor Pam Belcher Taylor. Moreover, she pointed out that Liberia Learning Center will also provide traditional and modern means to conduct research and many others.
We are here today to witness the groundbreaking ceremony of the Liberia Learning Center. The Learning Center, will also say LRC, will provide a calm and healthy learning environment for our children. As we all know, libraries help in developing students' vocabulary, enhancing comprehension, and develop the habit of reading in silence. Communities will benefit because those seeking information might not always have access to the internet. Today, in Liberia, the vast majority of our student population at all levels find it difficult accessing information for their school assignments and projects, especially in the sciences. LRC will also provide both traditional and modern means to access information with the assistance of a qualified librarian. LRC will also have print material such as books and journals, also include electronic resources that can be accessed via a computer or tablet.
Meanwhile, the executive director of the Empowerment Squad, Leo Nupolo Johnson, encouraged Liberians to change the tense political discourse in Liberia and focus on addressing solutions of the country. We need to save Liberia ourselves, if not, we are on our own, he noted.
The truth is, the conversations we have been having have been so discouraging that many people stay away because the conversation is dumbed down. We're not having conversations about solutions, we're talking about problems. And I will say this to everybody. You don't need the entire country standing behind you. You need a few faithful Liberians who can provide the leadership to inspire us. So as a result, people in the diaspora have this mentality that once you go to Liberia, everybody's out to get you. Or everybody's out to defraud you. Let me say, that too happens here. But I think one of the mistakes is we take for granted the very relationship at the grassroots level of this community that we should be cultivating. You cannot walk in after being away for 20 years and expect that people will just open their arms and say kumbaya and welcome you. You have to earn it. I think those of us in the diaspora should earn coming back because that's the best we can do. Nobody is coming to save us in Liberia. Don't waste your time. Even the UN is not able to save us. No, not the United States, not anybody. If we don't save this place, we are on our own. We are on our own. And we're not waiting for donors and partners to come in because at the end of the day, we can only work with what we've got. And our greatest asset as a nation is our people. It's not the gold, it's not the diamonds, it's not the timber. It's our people. When we begin to invest in our people in the best way possible, these are the things that can happen. And no one should give me the excuse of you have to work with the government. Because I would dispute it. We're here today because there have been all kinds of relationships and conversations with the government, through the mayor, through other people that have allowed us to be here.
Liberia's permanent representative to the United Nations, Mazra Kemia, has called for continuous technical and expert support to strengthen and deepen the global framework for gender equality and empowerment of all women and girls. Addressing the United Nations Committee on Social, Humanitarian, and Cultural Affairs during its consideration of its Agenda Item 26, Advancement of Women, Ambassador Kemia said strengthened gender strategies and policies will not only empower women but enhance the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. Ambassador Kemia, on behalf of the government of Liberia, highlighted the need for UN women to increase the embedment of technical experts to work closely with national governments and ministries to develop capacities.
Liberia embarked on the following initiatives: the review of national gender policy, which aims to promote gender equality, socio-economic development, and enhance women and girls' empowerment for sustainable and inclusive development. The availability of the second phase of our National Action Plan on the implementation of UN Security Council Resolution 1325 on women, peace, and security to enhance the active and direct participation of women and girls in conflict prevention, peace building, and leadership. The recent passage of the domestic violence law, buttressed by the Spotlight Initiative, funded by the European Union. These two aim to combat violence against women and girls and other vulnerable groups. His Excellency President Weah is currently championing as part of the proposed constitutional review process, the provision of additional seats in the legislature for women, persons with disability, and youth. To mitigate the disadvantage rural women face, the government of Liberia has instituted a yearly program, the National Rural Women Conference, to bring women from various sectors together to discuss issues of women and work towards the political participation and decision-making of rural women. In the same vein, we would like to also put forward the following in Liberia's capacity: that UN Women increase the embedment of technical experts to work closely with national governments and ministries to develop capacities on gender mainstreaming interventions at the program and technical levels. We encourage UN Women to continue joint efforts with other UN agencies based on experience that joint programs can be more effective and efficient and concretize national platforms on gender issues.
If you're just joining us, this is a reminder that you are watching News Today on KMTV with me, Zach Totiama. Shaman stories coming up. Students of Monrovia consolidated the school system protest over government's inability to pay their teachers for several years. That's months. Keep watching, more to come right after this short break. Welcome back. This is News Today with me, Zach Totiama Sherman. Monrovia was today shut down for nearly 3 to 4 hours by hundreds of protesting students of Monrovia consolidated school system. The protest was triggered by the alleged inability of government to pay the salaries of the MCSS teachers for several months. KMTV News Today crew followed the development, and back in studio, Sialim Bukhari far in this report.
The protest was characterized by blocking of the main route to central town, chanting of slogans and singing of songs. The demonstration later turned chaotic after the arrival of President George Weah, who did not talk to the students as his personal bodyguards, the EPS, were seen using force to disperse the crowd, a situation that aggravated the students to target other private schools. Meanwhile, the SDA school system has threatened to shut down all academic activities until security is guaranteed by national government.
Any of our students who have died this morning, like the 3 I took to the clinic, one Samuel Duble, he was badly injured. What, as a local school administration, all we can do, we've already informed our Department of Education, and we're going to shut down schools. We can risk, because we called the police. There were officers from the side watching. If the police cannot help us, So we're going to shut down schools. We've
All of the
informed the
SDA.
department. We've informed the department for Abandesa. From what we've gone through today, we'll communicate with parents until the government can give us assurance of security.
Monserrado County Senator Abraham Darros Dillon attributed the continuous protests in the country to bad governance.
We want to ask how we can handle the issue.
What does it mean for Liberia? Almost every day protests in our country.
Bad governance. We just need to go back on the drawing board. We need to go back on the drawing board and see what we're doing wrong and get it right.
Former Representative Kennedy of Monserrado, Prince Stolz, shared his thoughts on the Tuesday demonstration.
Government should be responsible enough to pay the teachers and handle all the bills, the wage bill, everything in this country. Every day we come to work, we cannot even go to our business because every day there's a situation in our country. It's very disheartening. We already have a bad economy. We already have things that happen good in our country. We're not making money. We're not doing nothing at all. Then after that, you are injured to insult. We have protests almost every time.
Well, it seems like the government of Liberia only listens to the plight of our people when mass demonstrations are staged, evidenced by past protests, including the recent one staged by the health workers. KMTV News Today, Salim Bukhari, Capitol Hill.
Let's take a look back approximately 5 years ago when students took the streets during former President Johnson's salary regime.
If you listen to the radio, we've been meeting with the top educators from all the different areas, private schools, public schools. That process is on. The objective of this reform is to create better conditions for you. To make sure when you go to school, students in Liberia rioting, we cannot get into rioting. When you take that approach, then you make it difficult for us to find solutions that will satisfy you. You've got to be able, when you have problems, you take your leadership group, tell you, and you come to us and say, this is our grievance, this is our petition. We sit down and talk it, we see how we can have it. But the business about violence, the business about all these street demonstrations that create problem for us, then you make it difficult for us to help you. You make it difficult for us to respect you. You make it difficult for us to make sure that we continue to attract support. The support that you need, that we will go out to people and get for you, to get you better books.
That was a flashback when protesting students took the street during the regime of former Liberian President Johnson Sirleaf. That was her response. Meanwhile, a civil society activist, Henry Johnson, has been providing his thoughts on the protest today.
The level of freedom that we are enjoying perhaps is being misconstrued.
What do you mean by that?
Nowadays, protest is becoming the order of the day. It becoming a norm. It becoming a tradition.
Who is responsible?
And you see, the kids today that gathered in the streets has learned from our so-called opposition. They are not teaching our kids that protest is your right.
You want to attribute protest to opposition?
Of course.
So it means that this government, because this government was in opposition and held several countless protests in the past.
You and I know that we weren't outside of Liberia during the opposition day of the Congress for Democratic Change.
So I just spoke the facts.
I'm saying you and I know we weren't outside. when you are making reference to protests, if we were to count protests,
the CDC dominates.
No. Check the records. Since President Weah took over of January of 2018 till today, if you were to check the number of protests, you will get to realize that some of the protests that have been organized
attributed to bad governance, inability to lead.
That's the message that the opposition is preaching, that the CDC government is not leading properly.
What is the real message?
The real message is this. Emmanuel, we must come to the realization that the problem that we have encountered as a country, as a nation, is not a problem that will be solved with a twinkling of an eye. It's not a problem that when you get into the streets, the problem will be resolved immediately. It's not a problem where when you get there today and say you want to meet President Weah or whosoever authority, it means that it will be done as you are requesting.
The Federation of Liberian Youth has embarked on the implementation of a project named and styled Empowerment and Fulfilled. It focuses on tackling adolescent sexual and reproductive health and give support to organizations and communities. James Koyo is FLA Secretary General. He spoke to KMTV News today.
FLA is implementing the project in 4 counties in the southeast. The project is the Empowered and Fulfilled. It's a project that focuses on adolescent and sexual reproductive health and rights issue. The project is implemented in 4 counties. In Grand G, in River G, in Maryland and Grand Crew counties. So the project is intended to provide support to community structures, especially looking at the local government, the PTA, teachers and teachers association and students, looking at the youth groups, and also looking at key stakeholders that are working with young people as it relates to youth and adolescent sexual reproductive health and rights. So FLA is providing advocacy training. So our own mission in the 4 counties in the southeast was intended to conduct what we call a policy dialogue that could look at stakeholders that could come with suggestions, recommendations, how we can be able to address the issue of adolescent and youth sexual reproductive health, and looking at it from a policy standpoint, how we can provide policy recommendation to address the issue of teen pregnancy, sexual and gender-based violence, looking at rape. Also, it's going to look at the issue of the increment in the current HIV and AIDS infection. So the policy dialogue brought together 20 stakeholders from each of those counties, and the recommendations were good. Some issues that
please. Some of the recommendations.
Issues like the issues came up was the issue of drug abuse. Participants were very keen because it's very high in Grand G. They are looking at it because it's linked to the issue of violence.
Montserrat County Senator Sir Joseph has presented to the people of District 2 a 25-seated bus. The donation, according to the senator, is geared toward helping to mitigate high transportation fares in the midst of the economic hardship the country is now faced with. Making the donation Monday, the Montserrat County Upper House lawmaker cautioned residents in the district to take ownership and make maximum use of the bus.
I'm not a rich man, but my responsibility is to make sure that I help to empower you. When our old money going in the market to buy things to waterside to bring it in the market, the transportation is very high. Yes. Today, District number 2, you will own your own bus. You will own your own bus. When you go into town, the transportation will stand down. How many people can pay from here, waterside? From today, from here, waterside is $50 LD. The money that you are paying, the money that you're going to pay, the money belongs to the district. You understand? All the collection at the end of the month, the district coordinator will sit down with the leadership and they will tell you how much money they collect, you will use that money to help your people in your district. Some of the people that this month here, October, November, when the bus run, at least you look at the old money you're getting 10,000 so the market can go. I now present to you this bus. The bus is insured with an insurance company. The bus is already licensed. This bus has air conditioning. So I want to officially turn the bus over to you people.
Meanwhile, the leadership and residents of Montserrat County District 2 have expressed gratitude to Senator Sir Joseph for the step taken. According to them, the gesture is timely and will be used for the requisite purpose. They at the same time warned another lawmaker to follow suit in order to give back to their respective constituencies.
Joseph, on behalf of the people and leadership of District Number 2, we highly appreciate the donation. We want to assure you that this donation will be used to transform this district. And you have already said all. Reason for which you were kept out in this open here today is because of the lack of office space. But we are very grateful to you, and you have also showed us that responsibility of getting us an office space.
I tell you thank you for the car. I tell you thank you for the money. And if you really you stable, you can't see me there. You feel sorry for me. They play where you take the money from you doing all the things that properly. You will stay long where you were and you will stay long doing it. Thank you.
On behalf of the women in the district 2 women, they say thank you. Let God bless you. Why you take the money from to do this for all you and the president? Let God bless you. God will bless you. I say thank you and thank you.
With a donation of 25-seater buses from Senator Sir Joseph to the people of District Number 2, that brings us to the end of today's news presentation. But before we go, here once again the headlines. Painesville City Corporation and partners launch Liberia's first modern learning center in Painesville. Students of Monrovia consolidated their school system protest over government's inability to pay their teachers for several months. On a note, we want to say thanks for your viewing pleasure. Until then, I'm Zach Totia Masheman. Good evening.